All right, what do you make of the timing of the divorce filing? 2 days after a big event like the Emmys. Anything to that? I've heard people talking about. Yeah, what do you think?
Incredibly savvy. You know, a Tuesday morning announcement is savvy on many, many, many levels. It's after many magazines have gone to press. It is after the Emmys when many people could have been asked on the red carpet about them, including Jon Voight, who was a nominee.
For sure, right.
That is, he would have been a prime target had this news been out there. If you look at the divorce documents, you'll see that the date of separation is listed as September 15th. So if they had filed on September 15th, that would have given people plenty of time to get their stories ready. And so this was absolutely a very savvy, very calculated move to try to minimize the amount of coverage that this announcement would get.
Sure, and one more sort of point in the case of them being very savvy with generally how they roll out information. Rightly so. Good for them for being able to do that. As recently as August, their second wedding anniversary, came and went. Sources told people that Brad and Angelina were as happy as ever. The source said that life as parents was getting easier with the kids getting older, more self-sufficient, but the couple, as it turns out, hadn't been photographed together for more than 2 months leading up to this. Do you know if there were any rumblings of trouble? Is this completely out of nowhere?
So the rumblings come from the fact that they hadn't been photographed for 2 months. That's never a good sign. It pretty much is almost never a good sign. And so that was pretty much the full extent of the rumblings. Everything else indicated that they were quite happy together. I mean, the fact is the last real project they worked on together was a film in which they co-starred and played a miserable married couple who were at each other's throats and essentially hated being married to one another. In hindsight, you could maybe see that choice of material as a red flag, but and they made it essentially on their honeymoon. They also made that film on what was, in essence, their honeymoon. But by the same token, there were never really rumors that somebody was, stepping out or about a third party. That was not something that we had been hearing over the past few months. It was mostly focused on the fact that they had not been seen together.
Very interesting. I think for many people, as we're saying, it does come as a surprise. They've been together for so long. Especially when it comes to a superstar couple. It's in many ways, it felt like they'd gotten over sort of that initial hurdle and they'd been together so long previously. Their marriage and getting married was so well crafted and thought out, and the kids participated in the wedding. We remember all those great stories about making it really a family event, a very special, private, small event. It just seemed like they kind of had the pieces in place for what is otherwise a life that is just shared with everyone in the world in the spotlight. But when it comes to people in Hollywood, in the industry, how would people describe Brad and Angelina's relationship? Did it seem internally in Hollywood, in that community, like a bit of a standard bearer, or maybe something that...
I think certainly, because there's another element that hasn't been mentioned that much yet, and I think it will get mentioned more in the coming days. One of the reasons that people, I think, believed them to be so rock solid was you cannot forget the tremendous health crisis she went through, and he was by her side through that. So when she broke the news of her double mastectomy, and then not that long ago also of her hysterectomy, he was the man that was by her side, that was her champion, that was still making her feel desirable and beautiful and loved, who was still singing her praises about her strength and her courage. The level of commitment that they showed to each other in the wake of that incredibly grueling experience, really experiences, more than one, I think cemented for a lot of people this notion that they really had weathered the worst that could be thrown at them in a lot of ways, and come out the other side.